Welcome to tonight's Mindshare. Tonight we have our brother Sekani Thomas on, also known as Cayenne Beats. He's a third generation professional percussionist and electronic music producer, and he began his musical journey as an understudy with Thais Side, an African drum and dance company, at the age of 6. Not only is he an amazing djembe player, he's a very versed in various styles of hand drumming and playing nationally, internationally across the world. It's our great honor to welcome in Sekani Thomas today. I'm going to promote him to panelist, and when he joins in, we shall give him a warm welcome. I am your co-host, Jesse, with co-host Jason, and we are super excited to bring our brother Sekani in today for tonight's Mindshare.
Is my mic working? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're on. You're on.
Yes.
We are live. I'm going to stop sharing the screen here so that we can share our journey together. Welcome.
Sekani, brother.
Hey. What's going on?
Welcome.
Oh, hey. Thank you so much for being with
me. We're so excited.
Yes.
So brothers, we are super interested in your journey to become a djembe player. It sounds like it's been a lifelong journey, brother. And please just give us, some of your experience in your words and what drives you and what has driven you to want to be so amazing at what you do, brother.
Right on. So the true heart's desire was just being born into it. And when you're this big, everything around you is grand. Everything is grand. And I watched my father play music, and your parents are like gods to you when you're like that small for some reason. You think that they're Superman and they have all the answers and all that. But then when you see them on somebody like that, like your parents, if you love them, if you have a good relationship with them, you see them on stage performing, and you don't really know what's going on, but it's just something spectacular happening. You're watching all this stuff. And so with djembe, I was born into it. And
at what age did you start playing? Or start practicing with your dad? Like, I'm sure you did that right out of the womb, but like when you started, like, when did you get your first djembe?
I didn't get my first djembe was I was 11. That was my first djembe. But before that, I started playing when I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old, and one of their drummers couldn't make it for a show. And I used to mess around and play. They used to see like, oh, okay, he got something. He got a little something going on. And one day I was like, oh, let me just play Kinkini. I just played for one rhythm. I played, and they saw that I was on, so they just let me keep playing. And they say, he's good enough. Let's get him on. That way we don't have to go find somebody else. And that's how it all started. I had to been around 8 years old, but then like maybe 3 years went by of me just like going like at rehearsal every week, at dance class every week, playing as a drummer. And I was 11 years old. It's like, what? Let's get him on. Let's get him in a costume. Let's get him strapped up. And I was a dunun player. So the dunun is the cylindrical drums, the cylindrical hollow drums, the head on both sides. Those are they started me on dunun first. So in the culture, everyone starts off playing dununs first. You have to be a dunun fola first for a certain amount of time. So I spent a cool 3 years behind the scenes. Nobody knew who I was. And then they brought me in, and then I played dunun on stage until I was maybe 14. I was a dunun fola, but behind that I was playing djembe tough. But by the time I don't remember exactly, in between that time, they had me as a backup djembe player, just playing rhythm, and they still paid me. So all this whole time they were still paying me for gigs. So I was professional. Like,
you started being professional at 11 years old.
Yeah, pretty much. Like
That's
my
awesome.
first gig, they paid me like $90. I
There
was
you
like,
go.
yo, I was 11 years old. I was like, yo, like
Oh,
I'm
this
gonna
guy's
go buy
good
some
working.
money.
ice cream.
Yeah, that's a lot of ice creams for the whole block. Yeah.
And so I was pretty ecstatic about that. And I really think it was good for me. It gave me a sense of belonging, it gave me purpose. Um, it was something good for me. Even though my dad was militant on me, he was like really tough on me, and you know, for a long time he was tough on me. But it all pays off until now. I'm grateful for all the tough times, but it all makes you
Yeah.
better.
So what kind of gigs and shows were you guys playing? Was it were you guys touring around, or was it kind of a consistent gig that you guys did? Just curious.
Yeah, the furthest I've ever gone with my father's ensemble was LA.
Okay.
We never gone personally with the group. The group has been all over the states. They've been all over the place. The group was at their peak in the, I say, mid '90s, late '90s. The group was like really peaking. There's maybe about like 10 female dancers, 6 male dancers, masculine dancers, and 3 Dunun players, 4 actually, 4 Dunun players, and maybe 6 djembes. And Grandmaster by the name of Musa Traori lived here in San Diego for maybe, my dad housed him for maybe, like maybe 8 years, 9 years in the 90s, late 2000s. So I've only been to LA, that's the furthest we've gone. But all the shows were all cultural gigs representing the West African, representing West African percussion and the culture, and to represent represent African Americans actually being able to connect with their roots, and it was something that had purpose. So the same purpose with Kwanzaa and Malana Karenga, same purpose my dad's group was just to be like, hey, know your history. The name Tesacho-san means know your history, to know your roots. No matter what ethnicity you are, you gotta know what you're about. Even though a lot of African Americans our bloodlines are this way and that way, but when you trace it all back, it's back there. Especially if your soul is calling that to you. If you hear the drums and it make you cry or something, if you get emotional, you see Balafrican, or you see something that grand, and it strikes you, that means you gotta look into that or connect to it some type of way. Even if it's not your blood, there's many ethnicities and people from across the world who love this music and who are very good at playing this music. Okay, I've met people who are not from Africa who are extremely well versed in this music and know the history, know the rhythms, know the culture, respect the culture, teach class, make money, all that. Sell drums, make drums, all that stuff. I've met many different people from across the world who do this, and to me, it's absolutely amazing.
So when you talk about the roots, what part exactly of West Africa did your style of djembe playing come from?
Mm-hmm. So my first taste was my father. He's my first teacher. And he studied in Mali with his grandmaster, Musa Traori and Sega. They're 2 grandmasters from Mali, from Mali, from Bamako. And over there, they speak the language Bamanan. And he spent some time over there. He went there in 2000. I was 4 years old. I'm 25 now. I was 4 years old in 2000. I was born in 96. So he went over there for a couple months, got off from work and left me at the crib with my mom. I was like, hey, I got to go study. And that was my introduction to the style and the language of that drum. So there's Mali, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal. Yeah, those 4 triple border regions. And the style of djembe varies from country to country and from village to village. So one village might have this swag, this village. It's like the US with hip hop. San Diego got a certain type of hip hop that you hear it, they call it as Dago. All they say is Dago, they call it Dago. So like in Africa, in Guinea, from over there, Conakry, I can hear somebody in the sound of the djembe and the language that they're playing. Okay, but nah, that's the city. That's Conakry. That's the capital.
That's so cool.
That's a city boy. Yeah. See, like, you know, you can listen to some hip hop and you can listen to how their flow is going. You but no, they from Flatbush. They from the Bronx. Like, no,
they're East Coast, they're West Coast.
That's East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to somewhere over here, you like, nah, that's West Coast. Just from the beat and the person rapping, you can just tell like what type of vibes it is. And
it's
some people like to, yes, it's a language.
Wow,
it's definitely a language.
Music is a language,
my first
right?
taste, but my first taste of djembe was Malian style, the Mali style, with Moussa Traore from Bamako, and my dad, the way he plays, because the way he plays
is that faster or slower, or like how would you describe it different from other styles?
When I listened to Moussa and the way the elders played, it was more, what's a good word? Traditional. Traditional. It was more traditional. The djembes weren't tuned as high and very precise, not too much, but not too little. That sweet spot of like, I'm saying this, but it's not too much. You can feel me. And I'm playing for the dancers too. And there was a good balance. So my dad learned that from Moussa, and then my dad infused that style, that swagger, with his own personal style, because he came from playing congas. He was a funketeer in the 60s and 70s. He came from conga technique, so he had conga language, and it was mixing it with his own creativity, and then going to Africa and studying the real deal, like the traditional. This is the language. This is what you have to play. But outside of you playing, you solo this way, and all that develops into your own personal swagger. How you like, just as if someone's rapping, it's the same feeling or energy coming through the drum. So someone's projecting with their vocals and their inflections, every little thing they say, ad libs. If you copy somebody, you put your twist on it. Sharing lyric, all that stuff. It's the same stuff with djembe, but just a totally different language. But it's the same vibration, level of vibration.
And I know I've been to a couple of your workshops and classes, and what I thought was cool when you were playing, we were saying every hit is like a word. It's like you're speaking with, like, and I didn't really understand that before. But when you start doing it, you're teaching, like, this is how you play. Like you were giving it language to each style of hit, and that like amazed me. And that translates even into how the dancers change and what moves they're doing and what tempo they're going to. And that's really cool. Can you explain like the relationship between the dancers and the djembe and the drummers?
Definitely. So now the legend is that the women are always in control. Okay?
This is true.
In the village, man, the women run the show. Okay. And that's the legend. The women will come out and say they clap, they start singing, and the drummers are like, oh, the ladies, man, they want some music. We need to come out and give them some music. Yeah. Now, in the village, it was always playing for the dancer. So the dancer might be doing a very intricate step or a high step or whatever she's doing, he or she's doing. The role of the djembe fola, and depending on what rhythm it is, the dunum players, they have to mark that step. And what I mean by marking is when the dancers are, if you watch a dancer and you watch their feet are quietly playing a rhythm. So she like say like the beat is just da 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 da, but the dancer's feet is moving that da 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 da. They might be dancing that. So like say like you were break dancing, you were doing like a basic rest move, getting ready to go into a break or hit the floor. Like, I'd mark that whole transition to the floor to make it feel more spectacular. So you might break on a downbeat, but if I was a djembe player, I'd play on your downbeat while you're dancing.
I love that.
So it's the same
thing. It's all
thing.
matched up.
Yeah.
It's in sync. I love that it's a whole synced up vibe where it's like you guys are doing it on purpose. Right?
Yeah, it's all improvised. Like somebody, the drummer, it might be a party, it might be a birthday party, and there's like 10 drummers. There's like a doom section and like 6 drummers, like, right? And the drummers get to firing up, and then somebody mom feel the spirit. She jump out there and start dancing. She just starts soloing. Djembe players like, oh, she's getting it. Let me play for her. Let me play for her. It's pretty much I'm playing for her.
Yeah.
But in the midst of me playing for her, I'm marking her steps and playing with her, like, you know, and now it's powerful.
With her. Yeah, you're in communing with
Yes.
music and her. So you growing up with this music in your life, your whole life. I mean, you must just be thinking in music all the time, brother. Like, explain what that feels like. I'm a musician, and and so I kind of understand that. I didn't grow up with it my whole life like you have, and you mentioned, that you commune with that music, and when you see it, you need to connect with it. Can you dive into that a little bit more and explain what that feeling is and what that is like, brother?
It's hearing music and everything. So like my grandmaster explained it to me when I was 16, 15. He said, you have to listen. Just all you gotta do is just listen.
Yeah.
And you can feel the music everywhere. And the first thing he told me to listen to was the birds. Go listen to the birds. I went and listened to the birds, and I'm like, the birds are firing off right now. I'm listening to them. And it's funny because they're not playing in time, but they have a cadence. And you listen carefully, you can pick up rhythms from them, and you can use that. And he told me about that, and I didn't believe him at first. But when I went out to nature and I listened to everything, that's when I noticed. Because when I was a kid, my mom would say this. She would say I had some type of gift, because she used to tell me, I used to come up to her and be like, yo, Mom, the washing machine, listen to the washing machine. Listen to the washing machine. And the washing machine.
I used to, like, my choir teacher used to be like, what key is the fan in right now? And he'd be like, and we'd start to, Jason and I, we just went on a full moon ceremony last night, and we were noticing this as we were in the full moon. And every step we took, the crickets changed a little bit of the noise, right? They were like, they were working with our energy and changing their harmony based on the disharmony or like the new harmony that we brought into the situation. And it's like, there's something in that power.
Yeah, I felt like they were playing to every step we had. Like,
there's something in that power of that observation, that listening, and being a good listener is really. I couldn't agree with you more. It's being a good listener is like one of the greatest tools you have as a musician, right?
Yes, it is having that unique musical listening perspective. I remember when I first started studying music in college, that was like the first class I took was intro to introduction to music and ear training. And then I have a good ear, but it changed my listening perspective to listen to instrumentation dynamically and more rhythmically, more than just hearing a song. So in West African tradition, there's no notation. You hear it. Can you feel it? Do you get it? Okay, now play it. That's how it was. And I was trained that way. So I'd hear a rhythm, I'd play it back. I wouldn't think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many measures. I wasn't in that realm. So to me, I feel like there's two sides of music. There's a dark side and a light side, but not negative or positive. It's like the premortal dark energy of it is like you hear it, that's like the subconscious, just you vibing with it. That you hear
the
it,
flow,
that the flow, you're in that flow. From black to light, like from dark to light, from darkness there's light, like the creative side of it. And then there's
knowing a song and reading notes to being in the flow.
Yeah, that's, to me, like there's a thin line between that where it's good to have both in your pocket. It's like being a Jedi, but both sides. You're not so stuck. You know how to use both for the greater good of music. You can take both and be like, let's do this.
Is this another way how music relates to life and all things? Because you have to experience the dark to know how to transmute it into light, right? Like that is life. That's experience. That's what it makes us able to be in service.
Because I think about creating music. I feel like just creating music, you're singing, I'm walking down the street, you singing, you're not writing at that time, but you got it in your mind. It came from nothing. It just came from you. And now I'll say, okay, well, now how do I get this out of my mind and get this on paper? Let me see this so I can create this and rearrange. That's when the ledger lines come in. That's key signature. That's when the meter comes in. That's when you're writing the notes. oh, that didn't line up right here. Let me change the last measure of the last 3 notes. Okay, being able to see it in front of you is to me is key. But I still came from the culture where nothing is on paper. You just know it or you don't, and then pass it down. Yes.
Well, I mean, every time I play djembe, and I'm not great at it at all, but like when I am kind of good is when I let go of thinking about it, and that's the only time when I'm able to just be in the flow and commune with it. And that sounds like your dark side of what you're explaining, right? Yeah. We have a good question from Alyssa on the call, and she was wondering if you use lyrics or chants ever to accompany the instruments, and if so, like what kind of songs or what are those chants about? Or songs or chants about, if you do? Or
definitely. So there's a big handful of songs that accompany each rhythm. Some rhythms have a song, some of them don't. The rhythms that don't, somebody from the village may just ad-lib and create a song just for the day. And those songs are passed on and adopted by others across the world. I feel like only those from the village have the liberty to do that because they truly embody the vibration of the language. There's some rhythms and songs that can't be sung by the world because they're that sacred. But the handful of the songs are very positive and loving. One of my teachers, Mama Diketa, he has a lot of his own creation of rhythms, but he has songs that go with them. Like one of them is Lole. Lole means star. And in the song, he just says, ah, Lole, then ad-libs, then ah, Lole, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's a star, but he's singing to the star. He's like, thank you, but the star is our star, the sun. You got to give grace to the sun. If you've been through some things where you didn't have no warmth, you didn't have no sun for maybe a day or two, and you froze or you was freezing, the sun comes back, the vibe that you get from the sun and the way you feel about the sun will totally change your life. Absolutely. I remember I did a gig in the mountains, man, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was 15 degrees, and I had to play out there on stage with a heater, and that was it. And didn't sleep for a day and a half because it was too cold. But when the sun came back, that's when I'm like, yo, the sun. I'm like, the sun is here. The sun just came back. And I thought about that rhythm that day too. And I thought about that song.
I felt that. I could feel my hands.
Yes.
To me, music is this living being, right? Music is it's in everything and all things, and it's this emotional release, it wields out of your emotions, and it opens up your channel. You know, so when you're playing, brother, are you balancing all mental, physical, emotional, spiritual? Are you leaning more towards the emotional side of things? You know, how does it feel for you when you're on stage? You know, when you're out there.
Emotionally, I mostly get into that vibe when I'm alone, and I'm able to just transmute a bunch of energy, a bunch of stuff, transmute a bunch of stuff on my own. That way I'm not transmuting everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like freestyle.
I found that I was an empath like what, 2 years ago? 2-3 years ago. And that changed up a lot of ways I move around, especially in how I play music. So, and the more deeper I delved into shamanism and how that relates to my instrument, the more I found that, you know, you have to have a certain vibration when you play. And if you don't have that utmost vibration, people are they're gonna feel that, you know. And sometimes I find it hard to be in a balance to where you do so many shows, not being a zombie or just going through the motions. Let me do the show and get up out of here. And but when you be doing it almost your whole life, you got to really be disciplined and have a certain vibration when you walk around. Like my grandmaster tell me, you have to when you walk around, you have respect for everybody. You try to acknowledge people who come up and want to your best. You try your best to be as genuine as possible, even when you're on stage. Because I know players on stage, they play with their shades on. You don't know where they're looking. You don't know how they really feel. They're not, if you're not Ray Charles, if you're not, what's his name? I'm tripping, man. What's his name? Play the keys.
Stevie Wonder.
Not Ray Charles. Stevie Wonder. Stevie, if you're not Stevie, it's like it's hard to get away with that if you're in a certain environment.
Right.
You know, I totally am fine with it because stage lights are hot, bright. So sometimes you on stage like this, but that's why you see me always rocking the circle shade, the clear ones, because they still block out a certain level of reflection, but I can still see and people can still kind of see my eyes. So having a certain vibration before you go on stage and after the stage is good. When I'm on stage, I just typically have the vibe of really, how can I make you go from this to going like whoa, like, you know what I mean? How can I get you from turning around at the bar drinking a beer to
dancing?
Being like, whoa,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
How can I get you to go like, whoa? How can I really make you really like happiness? Because Djembe means joy. Djembe means joy, like straight up. The word Djembe means joy in the Malenke culture. It means joy, and those are my intentions. I literally come on stage just like, let's have fun right now. When I'm with a traditional group, it's like it depends on what the purpose is for that group. Because I might be at a wedding with that group. I might be at a funeral. I might be at a baby shower. I might be playing for a gathering like, Kwanzaa in LA for Malana Karenga and their organization. I might be playing for something very cultural and intimate. So I have to wear a different type of costume. I have to, play a certain type of way, bring in joy, but still, depending on where I am, it could be a level of certain seriousness. And when I'm alone, though, it's all of chakras, intentions, having a certain focus. What do I want to transmute? What do I want to release? If I want to reach out to an ancestor or tap into a specific ancestor who has a certain vibe, I'm playing with words to them, talking to them. The drum has wood, so there's a spirit from the wood, if that spirit is still there. The animal, the skin that's on the drum had a spirit. It was a living being at one time. So you have to give respect to that. And every now and then I have to tap into the spirit of my drum. The drum is, depending on how old your drum is, how long you've been playing it, and how hard you play, how much energy you put into it, the drum becomes alive. So it becomes its own entity at that point. I'm pretty sure your guitars are alive, Jess. How much you touch them, how much love you put into them. Like, I know you've probably cried while you played before and felt so much like. So all that physical memory energy goes into this instrument and is a spirit and is attached to you, whether you like it or not. And it's like your other partner, as if,
Yeah, you're with the tree. I love that made that guitar. Dude, like I remember when I bought a new guitar a couple years ago, and it took me a while before it felt like mine. It took
almost
a solid year playing with it before I was like, okay, this is my new baby now. Because I had the same guitar for like my whole time playing for like 20 years. And I got a new one, and it's beautiful. Now I tune with it. I understand it when we talk to each other, and
your guitar is an adult.
What's that?
Your guitar is an adult. It's a fool. It's just like
you gotta raise it.
You gotta raise it.
Yeah. It even talks to me, man. Like if I leave it in the cold, it is too cold. It'll be like, hey, I'm really cold over here, and I'll be like, I gotta put my guitar in a warm spot, like I'll just like hear, and it's really crazy. It's really amazing and I love that you're bringing this through, because this is the love of music. This is the communion that we create, and it's everything that we think, speak, and do. It's in all things all the time. And I love how you have recognized in yourself that it is before, during, and after you're on stage that matters. It's everything. And to carry yourself, and you do carry yourself that way, and everybody notices it when they meet you.
100%.
I can't tell you how many people go, oh yeah, Sekani, that guy, his energy is so on point. And
I do my best. I try and do my best to keep it that way, because there's times where I don't want to leave the crib. I'll be somewhere and I was just like, man, like it's not in me right now. But been through it so many times. I get to the venue, I get to where I'm at, got the drum on my shoulder, but then it's time, but then all of a sudden it's like boom. So it's like it happens from my car to where I'm at. I'm in the car, I sit there and I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we're gonna do. Visualize it. Okay. When I walk in the spot, respect everything, you know. Now it's a subconscious kind of conscious ritual, you know, that I do every time before a show and after a show, because it feels better it feels better that way. I've done gigs where I just pull up, hurry up, get it done. It doesn't feel the same. You don't play the same. You don't. Nothing.
You just like you get like you're just like waiting for the show to be over, and that's just it's not. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like you've doing your job or that you got anything from it or anybody else did. You know. So I mean, you and your friends Dante and I forget the other gentleman's name.
Nigel.
Nigel. Yes, Nigel. You guys performed the most amazing the Djembe African dance class. It was so magical, brother, at the last retreat. And I think it was one of the biggest highlights for a lot of people. And I love to see all the kids, the kids that were there were jumping in, grabbing drums, and everyone was dancing and going in. And it's so magical to bring the culture and the spirit of what that is. And all three of you just hold such an amazing presence. So we're super excited to have you back again for the next retreat in October. Definitely. And we're excited. We love to ask you if you'd like to do a class for the Quantum Kids activation and help us bring these kids to enjoy that spirit that you've got to commune with at a young age, you know. That'd be such a gift to give, brother.
Yeah, my goal is to make that bigger for you guys. You know, more drummers, more powerful energy. It's just me and him, just me and Nigel. Just imagine if I had, you know, a whole crew of us.
And that's 8 dancers and
that's my goal.
That's beautiful.
Not necessarily performance wise, but class wise. You know,
right?
I love doing little stuff with Dante. I love that because now he gets to do whatever he wants now. He doesn't have to worry about 4 other dancers who might not be as equipped as him. He has to choreograph them. I actually love just watching him just get up, talk to everybody, get intimate with everybody about the realness of this, the energy from this, you know, activating the chakra and tapping into either your inner feminine side or your masculine side, and being able to dance freely without anybody judging too, as well. You know, because a lot of times people don't want to jump out there and do nothing because they feel like, oh, I don't want to be watched too.
Yeah, totally.
But you guys make it so inviting.
I didn't see any of that though, Ben. People, we got everybody broken down and ready to experience. And Dante is just magical. Dante, if you're out there, you're magical, brother. Thank you. And
his crowd control is amazing.
I had seen I've seen African dance before, but experiencing it with you guys was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I don't know, or felt before. Just the power and the poise and the presence, and then the control that you have, and how you're able to just so quickly switch into different beats, switch into different feelings and modalities, and just wow. I just wanted to honor you for that.
Just
wow, dude.
Anybody can get to that level. It's just time. How much time do you really have to give it the love? You know, I just was lucky enough. All my time was spent from when I was 8 years old till like now. So that a good chunk of time was being an amateur, and then to being like, okay, he's good. You know, my dad didn't start saying that I was good until like maybe I was 21.
Yeah.
That's
hard working with your dad in that fashion. Did it create friction as a father-son relationship, or did it stay professional? You know, how did that work?
He was hard on me like that all around. Like, that needs to be better. You could do better. Like I might have just killed it, right, or something. I might have just slayed it or whatever. He'd be like, "Yeah, man, that was good, but you got, you know, you still got to work on. You got this to work." And I'll be like, felt like trash because like my own dad was telling me I was trash.
Sounds like a good teacher though, man. That's what's up.
Yeah. Back then, it was hard for me back then. Back then, it was tough because I was young. I was a teenager, and you know, I was
like paint the fence.
Yeah.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. And I'm like playing football too, and I'm like, you know, testosterone's flowing. Like, yeah, come on, I'm the bell. And, you know, teenager. And even in sports, he'd be like, you got to do better. Like, even though we're undefeated, we got the #1 defense in the county. You know, he was like that with me all around. But when I look back, like there's a Ndinkra symbol called Sankofa. It depicts a bird looking back, grabbing an egg on its back. And it represents to look back and learn from your past. So I devoted to, you know, that symbol to look back and learn. So I look back and I say, yeah, because when you look into the world, there's always somebody better than you. There's the universe, always the law of the universe. Like there's always gonna be somebody better than you. There's somebody that's right beneath you. And I didn't start learning that until I went on tour and I started really seeing other drummers and hanging around with the big dogs. People who were cats who were sponsored, who toured nationally, internationally, Grammy Award winning percussionists. You know, look in their room and they got, you see that plaque, that festival, that necklace, they got 2 or 3 drawers full of those from worldwide festivals that they were featured on, just them. Expenses paid, everything paid, you know, they don't have to worry about anything. That's because they're the best, and they're the best of the best from where they're from. I've hung around play with people who are from Cuba, who were the best of the best in Cuba. Everybody's good in Cuba. Everybody's good in Cuba. Even in Africa, everybody's good in Africa. Some regular guy from Guinea right now could come over here and be like, hey, I'm a master, take my class, and people will believe him because he's from Africa. But if you go over there, only the best of the best of the best make it. Unless somebody just magically got you over here and now you teach it now or whatever. But I've hung around the best of the best from the continent. Hung around the best of the best who were born and raised here, but are considered, you know, the best. They're not grand masters of the village there, but they're still considered some of the best players in the West Coast and internationally and nationally. And that pushed me to be the best that I could be, you know, not to be better than him or her, or to be the best that I could be in my body, what limitations my body has, and how well my brain snaps and fires and moves creatively, energetically, and you know, and all that. My dad helped me realize that. I didn't realize then, but like now, I'll be like, that's why he said, because he done travel, he knows. So, you know,
it's so important to be humble, man, and in everything that we do, but especially in music or any sort of you know, skillful creative trade, you know. And I learned that a while ago too. Everyone was like, oh, you're an amazing guitar, and I'm like, there's always somebody better, you know. Like I don't think that I'm anything.
Yeah, you know? I watched you play before. I think you're pretty dope, man.
Who, me?
Like, yeah, I've watched you play, man. You're great, man. I wish I was good. I play a little. I play a little bit myself, but I wish I was as good as you, man. Like,
I can't wait.
You know, so
we're gonna jam again at the retreat. We should jam at the retreat. I just want to take a minute just to let everybody know that the next retreats happen on October 15th to the 17th, and you're gonna see Sekani there again with Dante and Nigel, I hope, again, and hopefully some more characters and friends. And
Julian.
In Julian, California. And tickets are on sale right now, $222 for the all-inclusive pass. And it's gonna be rad. We're gonna have so much fun at this one. We're gonna keep growing, keep exploring. I would love if you could tell everyone, you know, what other things you offer. What else are you working on? I know you're in the studio a lot. You give one-on-one sessions as a djembe instructor. You know, what other things are you working on, brother?
So I've been working on remastering all of my electronic music Still currently working on a percussion album. I'm working very closely with a friend of mine, also my teacher, but he's like my homie, like we kid. You know, his name is Maget Sal. He's from Senegal by way of New York. Okay. And, you know, amazing percussion. I look up to him everywhere as a percussionist. And he's been working with me on my album.
Nice.
Don't have a release date yet because I just want it to be all improv. It's pretty much going to be an improv album. The rawest of the raw of energy. You know, the best energy is captured when you improv and everybody's in the room vibing. Like I literally want all my homies in the room, you know, just chilling, if you know, having a glass of juice or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We drinking water, having chips or whatever. And you hear that, you kind of hear the ambiance going on, like, yo, but then when it's time to play, you hear us like, all right, it's time to get down. Then we start getting down, everything going hard, you know, vibing. Each track will be a seamless vibe as if you're really in Africa, in the village, because that's how they record. They take these mics, they take all these mics and stuff, and they set all that up right in front of the tree, right below the tree, in the middle of the village during the entire festival, like a Dunumba festival or something. And right in the midst of the drummers, they put the mics there, and the drummers don't care. They like, yeah, it's mics. They just going hard, improv, just having a blast, just going off, playing. Next thing you know, a whole album is recorded within less than an hour.
All that energy, dude. It's that live energy, capturing all the people's energy. Like it is one of the most challenging things to capture in a recording, right? Like you want to get that real
authenticity, all that.
Authentic vibe of what's happening for you in that emotion right in that moment. And sometimes that moment comes and passes really quickly, and if you don't record it, you don't get it back, dude.
You can't redo it.
There's no It'd be the littlest stuff, like the trees blowing in the wind in the background, like the littlest stuff that makes the track. You know, the women in the background chit-chatting and clapping, calling out the next rhythm, and then the next track starts. You know, it'd be to me, aesthetically, the littlest stuff, I'd be like, listen, I'd be like, yeah, I feel like I'm actually there. You know, I feel like I'm really there. Now, I want my first album to be that, and my second album, I want it to be completely orchestrated. Like I meant to say this here, and here. Boom. I have these people on the track, all that stuff. Because I remember I listened to one of my other teachers' name is Famadou Konate. He's also from Guinea. He's one of the oldest djembe followers around right now, and I'm trying to go see him before it's too late, because he's the closest connection to what I have. I haven't seen him in about maybe 5-6 years, but he's the closest connection I have to the original djembe fola sound, how it sounded in the 40s and 50s, like when they had to make wire pegs around the heads, and the drums weren't carved as nice as they are now. But I watched old videos from like 1950 or early 60s, and the amount of energy this guy had, the way he commanded the entire ensemble of 40 to 50 people on stage, entire production, and how much respect he had from where he's from, and his style. His style is like the closest thing I can get to of what his grandmaster sounded like, his master. We don't know who these people are. We will never know unless we speak the language and we sit with a storyteller or a historian in their village. They call it the Jalia. Jalia. They come to your house and they play a song, and the song is your history, the family history. There's no written, you know, it's the family history. So that's the only way you get to know about them, but you'll never get to hear them play. None of it was recorded, no video, only legends. And when they describe their grandmasters to me, I'm like, they have legends of, they used to command fire from the drums out, you know, all that stuff. They used to command elements from the drums and do amazing things with this drum, and things are kept secret now or they're lost. So,
well, what you're talking about right now is you're describing a really important element of shamanism, and that is to pass on the stories and the teachings of the culture, and music is one of the best ways to communicate that, because it carries so much more information than our voice does, right?
Crosses all kinds of language barriers, every kind of barrier you could think of, right?
Yeah, and it's just vibrating through, and that's, I guess that's one of the things that always has drawn me towards music as well, is because I'm able to communicate so much more feeling and emotion through the guitar and through the playing and through the intensity or the give and take. You know, it's like an electric wave that just floats through, and you got to grab a hold of it while it's flying by you and pull it in, dude, and embody it. And I feel like you've been doing this journey, brother, for a long time now. You've been embodying these stories, dude. You've been taking this in. You've been taking in the music and making it you. And that, you know, is that the way that you see it too, brother?
Exactly. Yeah. I ended up absorbing all this stuff, absorbing all this music, and it's in my body, so that it comes out as me in my way and in my path, authentically, humbly. Because you can play with your nose up, or you can play eye to eye with someone, and you know, be on this in the way they feel you, and they're not intimidated by you. They're not. They're able to accept you in their way, and you could play, and whether they accept you or not, but you know that you were able to come on a level with them that they can understand, you know, the best way that they can, you know what I'm saying? Because some people play so rough and tough to where, like, you can just look at their body. So like, okay, so there's the language you're playing, then there's the body language that you may be playing with too. You know what I'm saying? And somebody's visually watching you. So your body language is communicating, you know? You could be literally like having gestures while you talk, you know, with your face, with your hands, with your arms, with your feet.
I've seen you do it before. I've seen you like be playing. He's playing like fast, and he's like, you. He's pointing people out. He's like doing moves. I'm like, how are you communicating while you're doing all that? It's crazy.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It might, you know, I might be playing for someone that I feel some type of way about, and now I'm like, I'm talking to her now. Like, what's up? Like, I'm like that. You know, like I could
engaging.
I could just imagine if I was married, and if I had a family, like I'd play for my family, like how I'd be like playing for them and teaching them, or if they wanted to know. I could just imagine that. I know you have that, Jesse. You play for your family, you show them. I know that the amount of emotion that comes out for families.
Oh yeah, my wife and I have gotten to play together, and our son gets to be around all of that. And he hasn't taken much an affinity in the music yet, because he's like way too in love with cars. But you know, I
was a kid, dude.
I know that all that's rubbing off on him. You know, all of that's rubbing off on him, and he already has a big affinity for the drums. And I'm gonna get him a drum set. It's
in him. It's in his DNA from you. Dude. And I know you played while he was in the womb too. So all that's in him. You know what I mean? And it's all loved. You know what I mean? And it just comes out. You know, and.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to mention, not only does Sekani play legendary, but he also...
You guys froze.
Oh, sorry, brother.
It's okay.
You hear us? Technically.
Okay, yeah.
Jesse froze?
No, he's moving. I can tell.
He's not a mannequin anymore. Okay, wave your hand.
We're back.
We're good. We're back. And we're back.
Yeah, dude. I watched my son for the first time during your workshop get on my elkskin drum, and he was just going after it. He was watching you guys and like totally into it, and I hadn't seen him ever do that before. And it was so cool to see him absorbing your energy and what you were presenting.
That was so
magic. That's how it starts.
It was one of the happiest moments in my life. Dude.
That's how it starts, you know.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah, and not only does Sekani play in a legendary status, but he also builds these things from scratch. Like from what type of wood it is. I've been sitting with him and his dad. He'll be like, someone will be playing something they didn't bring to the park. And dad's like, oh, that's mahogany, or that's this other type of wood from another part of the country. I'm like, no, it's like, because I hear it. Like, it's awesome. They build it, they put the skins on them, they process.
Yeah.
Tell us more about how that goes. Like, where do you source? Is the material all sourced from West Africa, or you get it from all over the world?
It all depends on how you'd like to source. If you really want authentic sound, you really want that sound, you want to get everything from Africa. Get everything from Africa except for the rope. Except for the rope. The rope, you can go down to your local Point Loma boating store and get the right rope and get the right test with the flaming colors and everything. But even down to the rings, the metal rings that are inside the heads, Guinean or African rebar or European rebar is thicker, stronger, it's tougher, doesn't bend as easy. American rebar is too thin, bends too easy, does not stand the test of time. It doesn't hold good welds either, because we have to weld these rings. We have to first shape them into a nice, perfect circle, and the circle has to be level, has to be full circumference, and that weld has to be a good weld. You know, it can't be a splotchy weld, because if it is a splotchy weld, you'll be pulling this drum and taking the pitch to where it needs to be, and the ring in the drum will snap, and it'll create an offset, and it'll tear the skin. And that's it. So building these drums is an art form in itself. I know builders, all they do is build. They don't play djembe. I know carvers, all they do is carve. They don't play djembe. I know guys who all they do is cut down the trees. They don't play djembe. All they do is work at the warehouse, the shop in Guinea, Senegal, or Mali. All they do is cut down trees and hollow them out. That's it. There's with djembe, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of animals that have died for djembe. There's a lot of trees that have died for djembe. There's people who have came in with capitalistic energy and mentality and turned into kind of big business. Me and my father are more on the repair side. If somebody's drum breaks, we like to repair them, or if someone who's top in the industry, they want their drum to be reheaded or custom made, custom built, we'll take in custom orders. That's what we're pushing towards now. My father, he's getting older. I don't even want him to be working like that. But when me and him team up to build someone a drum, however much time that's going to take, that's how much time it's going to take, because it has to be right. We don't want a rush job. But from start to finish, from carve to skin on the drum, tuned, might take maybe a week, because you got to cut down the tree, got to shape the trunk of it. It's the trunk of the tree. It's not the top. It's the base. You got to hollow that out. Yeah. It's like the first cut is going to be a dun-dun, and then the second or third cut can be a djembe or just all dun-duns. But the first cut is the dun-dun. The last two cuts is djembes. One solid piece djembe. The average djembe that everybody wants right now is maybe like 14 inches. So that's a good chunk of the stump, near the trunk, or in the trunk of the tree. And that process can maybe take a day or two, because the guys got to hollow it out. They got to smooth it out, get the measurements just right, take it to the carver. Carver has to put all the intricate, nice work on there. Then they got to really get the tuning right. They got to go in with hand tools. Everything's done by hand. Everything's hand tools. They do special swirls and carves inside the ball of the djembe. So if you look inside of a really good built djembe, there's swirls and carves inside the ball of that drum. And depending on the region, how the carved drum will have a type of sound. not sound, but timbre. It's gonna have a different characteristic. So Guinea drums have a different characteristic than Mali drums or Ivory Coast drums. Like if I showed you an Ivory Coast djembe, it's more of a curvy looking djembe. It's a sexy djembe. To me, it's a feminine looking djembe. It's just nice. And then you look at Guinea drums, nowadays they're a little bit more curvy, but back in the day, they're more boxy looking, kind of box shaped looking. But that's on the outside. Inside, everything is curved and smooth, coming out all the way down at the tail. And, you know, scientifically, the way the bowls are carved will depend on how much sound you're going to get out of that drum, how deep your tones are, how crisp your slaps are going to be, how, you know, how deep or how high your bass notes are going to be, even down to how smooth can you get the crown at the top. You know, how smooth of a circumference can you get that crown at the top. Smoother your crown at the top, the more comfortable the drum's gonna feel. It's gonna feel like an S350 off the lot with a V12 in it. It's gonna be comfortable, but you're gonna be really getting it. You're gonna be really firing off. So as a builder, I've discovered the littlest things can make a difference. So just like with racing, it's like how like your son Jesse, I love cars, Jesse. Like I wish I could have been a race car driver in another life, like a Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. So like on your car, you know, changing the engine isn't gonna make it a faster car. You know, it could be the littlest thing like suspension tuning or new tires, you know, or a little bit of aerodynamic switch ups. So I feel like skins on a djembe are like tires to a car. You know, they don't last forever. They gotta be at a certain type of tension to really perform. The engine is you know, you can make upgrades to yourself to the best you can, but some engines aren't built like other engines. So there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Some people's hands are not like my hands. I have big hands. So that way I can kind of pull more volume in a way, depending on my technique. Some people have shorter hands, so they're going to have a slightly kind of faster technique. They have less leverage to come down with your wrist. See how long my hand is? My hand is long. There's some dudes half the size of my hand. So that leverage from here is quicker. So they have a different timbre, a different technique. Therefore, they can do different type of licks, type of phrases and stuff like that. Like I watched a conga player named Tito Fuentes. His hands are so small, but this type of stuff that he can do is a little different because of his quality. So
different flavor.
Yeah, different flavor. So
that's cool.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I feel like it's the same way with guitar. Like your hand might be big enough for a certain type of guitar. You can get on that fret and do certain type of stuff on that fret that some other people may not be able to do, or they have to adjust to a different size guitar. You know, even like I watched the Spanish style and the Mexican styles, how they play guitar, the way they strum and stuff like that. I'm like, well, his hands are small, so I feel like he can get in there and pick differently. Like my hands are so big, I can't play on a little guitar or something like that. I need a bigger guitar or different. Same thing with djembe. You might have a small hand. You can play a small djembe. Like I got big hands. I need a 16, 15 hefty, you know, big size djembe. You know, I need a big one. You know, that's why my djembe is so big. You know, because I've noticed over time, like a bigger drum, like as if. Like I'm, you know, if you're Jason's height, you need a truck. You need a big boy. You need a truck. You know, you need a limo. You need something long. You know, like you gotta have room to do your thing. So
yeah.
That
makes sense. I didn't even think about that either. But I guess it gives so much different flavor. And being a teacher, you're able to say, okay, cool. You have smaller hands. You got to do it like this.
Yeah, because I've been through it. You know, I've been through it. I've been through the process of being in the classroom learning djembe at the feet of, you know, grandmaster teachers, privately and in the classroom, and then teaching myself new things, improving constantly, being humble enough with myself and dropping the ego to say like, no, this needs to be, you need to play it this way. You played it that way, but it didn't sound that way. You play it this way. And making the neurological connections in my mind to learn something new, because I might hear something and try to learn it and play it, but I have to consciously know that I didn't play it right. You know, that's life. You might be wrong in a situation, but having the humility, like I wasn't right. Let me do it right. Let me get it right, and have that sound. And with djembe, it takes time and to make that connection with your hands, to make that connection with your body, while at the same time playing the rhythm. Because I remember for a long time, I didn't have tones and slaps coming out of djembe. I didn't really start getting tones and slaps till I was maybe 11, 12. And when I started tapping around with djembe, I was like 8 or 9. It took me a while to get it right, to say that's tone, that's slap clearly. Because I'm playing the rhythms, but it's just do, 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 do. But mentally, I'm thinking that. So when I'm teaching, I always ask, like, are you thinking tone and slap? Because with the intention, the tone and slap is gonna come. And it's funny, if you say slap backwards is spell. If you play the word slap in reverse, it says spell. So like it's as if you're spelling, you know what I mean? So like it took me a while to get that with my hands. And it's a journey that you have to take on your own. But it's best to always have someone, a mentor that you come to and say, hey, these are the adjustments you need to make. These are the adjustments that you have to have. And you have to spend a certain amount of that time alone, just hand position, the way it feels on the drum, the tonal quality, the volume. Does it hurt? Does it feel good? Does it tingle a little bit? Because when you hit it good, it tingles a little bit. Maybe sometimes it may hurt, but that's a part of that journey. And I'm always like glad to like teach someone that, especially when I'm doing the private sessions. I'm always glad to teach that because I've hit so many roadblocks, on the way up, but it's overcoming them like feels great. When you break a new wall down, when you now you're able to like there's levels to where you reach the next level, to where you've reached the next level. Okay, now I can play with these guys. Now I can know. Now people can hear me now, or now I'm able to play at this speed with this amount of power with language and preciseness. There's so many little.
And now I can play for 2 hours versus I was only able to play for 5 minutes before.
Yes, where you may go from playing 20 minutes straight hard, 20 minutes. Now you're going to 30 minutes. Now you're able to hang around for an hour. Now you're able to hang around for 30 minutes. It's like running. You gotta get out there and run. Yeah,
muscles, dude, and
your stamina.
That muscle memory. I mean, that's why you practice as a musician. Is that's the most important part, so that when you get on the stage and you have all those different distractions and need to perform and hold on to your body space, right, and connect with the crowd, you don't want to be thinking about it as much as you do when you're practicing.
You don't want to be thinking about.
You don't want to be thinking, and I
that's
don't
what
want
my
my
grandmasters.
bandmates either. I don't want to be practicing with them when I'm on stage either. I need to trust that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing as well, because I'm not looking at them anymore. I'm engaging with the crowd, engaging with the people, right? This is it's so fascinating to hear how much you've embodied this process, from even down to building the drums, to studying the history, to being it as well. And your music and your vibration, brother, spread so far. And you're playing your love in boostive, and your love in your Cayenne beats, and your DJ music and electronic music and production. Like, I can't wait to hear your album. Can't wait to see wait to feel.
I had to do a different Mindshare on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's a whole nother world. That's a whole nother world for me. That I was in. Now I'm doing this with it. I've been in the studio a lot with different hip hop producers and different producers from all over California who want my drums on their stuff. From house, tech house, to trap, like straight up hard Atlanta trap, like trap music, all kinds of stuff, R&B, jazz, everything. So
yeah, I love that.
That's
like,
a whole nother.
The best thing I've heard in a long time is having a fresh beat, like a break beat, if someone's DJing, and having Sekani or someone get up and play live djembe over it live, it changes the game. It's like, and he's so good at it because he embodies it and he knows how to play forward and backwards. He can play with anybody, and that's what he teaches as well. And it's exciting to watch and see him just. It's like hopscotch. He's like, ooh, watch this, and then he just plays just perfectly like he's been practicing with him. He just hasn't even met him yet. He meets him after this.
Yeah, like that's what's about to happen today. Like my homie called me for a gig today, and I was like, like I'm gonna just show up. Like, but that's how I met Boosted. That's how I met Boosted. Like Nathan, you know Nathan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan saw me play at a community college, at Grossmont Community College. And he was like, "Yo, man, like come to our gig, man. Like just pull up." And boom, they were like, "Yo, you did great. Like you played like you rehearsed with us." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And back then I was humble. I was like, "Well, I don't like 20 or 21." I was just able to drink, But I grew up playing like that, where we get to the gig, they're like, "Okay, these are the rhythms we're gonna do." That's all I know. I don't know what breaks we're gonna play. I don't know what's gonna happen on stage. All I know is that we're doing these rhythms. Whatever comes. So for that many years of me improving, I can get on stage with almost anybody and know what's gonna happen. I know when the break is gonna come. I can just look and be like, okay, this is about to happen. Okay, we're gonna do this. Okay, time to solo. Okay, how long? I could just feel for how long. I could just feel the vibe in the room. Like, okay,
Connie's he has like a crystal ball, and he can like feel the music break, like the change up before it even comes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here it comes.
I don't know how to explain it, Jesse. I don't know how to explain it. Where I'll be somewhere playing. I just know a break's coming.
Have you listened to Victor Wooten's book, The Spirit of Music?
No, but I've seen him play. My brothers met him.
Yeah, your understanding of that book is going to be phenomenal, and I'll share it with you if you don't have it. And everyone should read that book because it really brings out how music is everything. Music is life, and and Sick. Mu is mother, and Sick is science. It's the mother of all sciences, music.
Yeah,
and it's everything that is in existence is some sort of a vibration or a frequency.
Yeah.
So you're tapping into what's already there. And you're transcending time. I mean, you're finding that timelessness, the infinite creator of yourself. And that's the place where music operates when you're in that flow, like in that total moment. And like you said, you just start to, what's coming next and what's behind. And so you feel that stretch and release of the people you're playing with, and it just flows. You just feel, and you surrendered yourself to the feeling of that, and it's magic, dude. It's the most magic in the world.
I completely agree with that 100%. I just to add to that though, I feel like is just change in general. So when a different style of music comes on, that style of music is changing our molecular structure, the water in us. Yes. So you might be listening to hip hop for 3 hours, and then somebody comes and starts playing some jazz. You don't want to hear the jazz. You're not feeling that because it's changing you. You don't like the way that feels. It's changing you. You don't want to change. You only want the hip hop right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like you eating a hamburger and somebody's throwing you a salad in the middle of your hamburger. Like you come on, I don't want to. But it's you have to be able to allow yourself to flow and change. And
like
that's
water.
what has allowed. Yeah, like water.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's it, dude. That's it.
But to recognize good water and bad water. There's good music everywhere, but then there's bad music everywhere too.
Yes.
Just because it's different don't mean it's good.
No.
As well. I can respect good music. I can listen to some country music, and I'm not a big fan of country music at all. I don't actively listen to country music.
But
I've heard some country songs, and I'm like, yo, that was a good song. I felt that song, or I've heard folk songs, and I'm like, no, I felt that song right there. And it may not be even the type of genre music I even like to listen to all the time. But because I've allowed myself to be able to adapt and go with the flow and change the water and feel music, because I love music so much, I can be like, I felt that track right there. That's a good track. That's a good song. Oh, he just played his set, his solo, his set like that. No, he's a player. He could play. That was good. You know, I had respect.
I love that. There's a quote from Miles Davis. They asked him, "What's your favorite type of music?" And he goes, "I like good music." You know?
Yeah, like good music.
And I love that quote, and I've always like embodied that quote because it's like you said, man. You said it so beautifully. It's changing the structure of our DNA when we're playing, while we're playing. And it's not only changing your DNA, it's changing everybody around you. You're emanating it from you, that vibration, that scope, and it's just changing the space. It's alchemizing the whole space, and not just in this space that you're in, but all space and all time, dude, because everything's one. So off, on stage, during performance, during practice, it's important that we always commune with it and be humble with it and honor it and respect it. And brother, you are doing that all the way through and all the way out, man. And we see you, and everybody else sees you, and we honor you. It's been so enlightening and so wonderful to have you on tonight, brother. We could talk all night, I feel like.
Until the next Mindshare, you know?
Until the next Mindshare, dude. We have Katie Kell coming out tomorrow night, and we have another special on Thursday this week. We have our friend Stuart Pierce, who's an angelic emissary and a master of voice. So talk about alchemization, dude. He's gonna dive into what the voice is capable of. It's so cool, brother, to hear your story, to hear all the love that you put into everything that you do. And man, just keep going. We're gonna always be here.
Respect.
Yeah. Yes. And respect for y'all too. I mean, Jason, you're versed in fields that I have no idea about. I learn from you. Every time I come around you, I learn something about something. You know, and then the same thing with Jess, like you have this majestic hawk vibe. And one of my strongest totems is a hawk, man. So I learned from you the different perspectives that you see and different things. Like every time we come on Zoom, you dropping some wisdom, something here, you know, and I'm always listening to you too. So both of you all have, you know, respect to you guys in your fields and what you do. Like you play guitar, Jess, like I respect that 100%. Like I have to keep training myself up and down the fret and playing my guitar, and so I respect that and everything else.
I can't wait for you guys to jam again together.
Yeah, I think it's
for sure
overdue.
Some bongo vibes. Like I could definitely jam some with my bongos for sure.
Wow, dude. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you for thanks for being you. And
thanks for spending time with us, brother.
We're gonna put up our hands here, and we're gonna give love to everything, to everyone. We are everything and everyone, and to every heart and every mind.
Every mind.
Yes, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, brother. Can't wait to see you at the next Spectrum event, and I know that we'll see you sooner. So all the love to you, man.
Gonna be fun times.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody on the call. Thank you for everybody listening to the replay.
Thank you, guys.
And we will be back tomorrow night. All the love to you, Sekani.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah. Talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks, brother. Right. Thank you,
Jesse. Sign off, man. One love. Love you guys.
See you guys. Have fun at the gig.
I will, man.
All right. You're already warmed up.
This is where it was at today. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're already warmed up.
Yeah.
Gracias.
All right, guys.
Yeah.